The trials and tribulations that I've incurred over the last 8 years serving in the Virginia Senate. Just a quick reminder, do you remember the lady, the senator that was in the box because she refused to wear a mask and they built a plexiglass wall around her on the floor of the Senate? That was me. That was me. That's right. I did not wear the mask during COVID. In fact, I got kicked out of a lot of things. How many of you can identify with that? I do not think that we should be complying with authoritarian mandates. I did not get the vaccine. I did not wear the mask. Oh, and by the way, I was illegally censured by the Virginia Senate because I said the 2020 presidential election was stolen. Guess what? It was. It was stolen. I was there on January 6th, and yes, thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, for deleting me on Facebook. While I was running for governor back in 2020, many of you may remember, I ran for governor for 15 months, and you say, why did you start that early? It's a big state. So I started 15 months in advance. I've been to Frederick County many times, actually, and I feel like you should be interviewing me and asking me questions. Well, after running so hard for 15 months, we were the front runner in the race. And then the Republican Party chose to do a ranked choice convention. COVID hit and nobody knew how to vote. So I went back to the Senate, voted. I was the deciding vote to make sure that the people get a primary this time, so that the people get to go to their regular polling location and cast their vote. We need more people participating in our process, not less. So I've been called a number of things. I've been called Senator Transparency. I've been called Trump in heels. By the way, I'm Trump in tennies because I'm tackling people in Walmart parking lots trying to get signatures. We've got about 10,000 signatures we have to get, 400 in each congressional district. And I just announced 2.5 weeks ago. So I'm not crazy, but I do believe that we need a governor who can actually beat Abigail Spanberger, and I know I'm the one. Imagine this, Battle of the Blondes, okay? This is gonna be the year we have a female governor, and as we have seen the lineup, I'm not gonna say anything negative about my opponents. I feel like during this time, we need to unify until we get our signatures, but there will be differences. But what I will tell you is that I know that I can beat Spanberger. I actually was the campaign manager for a guy, you might have heard of him, Dave Bratt, who actually ran against her and everything. So I know Abigail Spanberger. I know her boss is John Brennan. I know where she gets her money from. Can we say hello, USAID? Can we say hello, NGOs? Look, we know. How many of you watch the Alex Jones show? Come on, y'all. Did any of y'all watch the Alex Jones show? If not, you should be. He teaches you, he's out there sometimes, but he's really good if you really pay attention to him. I would also encourage you to sign up for the Honey Badger Report, which is a publication that I put out when the General Assembly is in session. I couldn't take 8 years of serving in the Virginia Senate and let that knowledge and experience go to waste. So on a daily basis during session, I follow the Senate and I let you know which bills pass the House, which ones pass the Senate, which ones are before the governor's office to sign, so that you know what's going on. I know Virginia's government. I know the budget. I know how it works. I have a degree in business, specifically in finance and management, and I've been studying Virginia's government. And we have totally been spending money in all the wrong places. We need to get back to the core functions of government. Since 2010, did you know that our entire budget has doubled? Completely doubled. We're spending money on programs like Go Virginia, which in my opinion, Elon Musk would not like. It is a complete slush fund for corporate America. You know, all that money going to Amazon, our taxpayer money, I never voted for that. And in fact, in the 8 years I served in the Virginia Senate, I only voted in favor of one bill, and that one budget, and that was the skinny budget. Because I think that we're spending way too much money and we're not cutting. And if they tell you that they've cut, it's because they proposed a big budget and they cut a little bit out of that budget. I think we could get rid of the car tax responsibly, not through unfunded mandates, but cutting programs that we shouldn't be cutting. I think we should get rid of the property tax. I think we should stop taxing Social Security benefits. I think we should stop funding that. You have people who are on fixed incomes. And people are gonna say, well, how do you do that? I've served in the Senate for 8 years, and I can tell you there's a large amount of money, millions of dollars in there, going to all types of causes that should not be in there, and I will cut it. I will never fund it. I will get rid of DEI for once and for all. I'm sick and tired of the racism that is prevalent in our Virginia budget. You just wouldn't believe it, but it's there. So if you want to return the common sense back to the Virginia budget, and if you appreciate what President Trump is doing at the federal level, that's what I would like to do. That's what I would have done 4 years ago had I been your governor for the next 4 years. We need a governor that's a Republican, that when they accept the oath of office, that they actually really do something. The first thing I would do on day one, I would call for a full forensic audit of our state board of elections. Paper ballots, hand counts, get rid of the voting computers, because yes, they are hooked up to the modem. I've done a lot of research. I founded and was the chair of the National Election Integrity Caucus. By the way, I've been endorsed by Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano, who was the Republican nominee for governor in Pennsylvania. And he served on my committee in which I introduced the full forensic audit here in Virginia. We need to go back to day one. One of the executive orders that I would put forward would be 1 day for an election, paper ballots, hand counts, get rid of the voting computers, and go back to the way we were, putting our guardrails back on Virginia's, back in Virginia. We would put those guardrails back on our elections here in Virginia, because a lot of people don't feel like their votes cast. And I won't bore you with all the details, but if you read the Virginia report, if many of you have read that, if you follow me on the Honey Badger, you know what I'm talking about. But we need to get all the illegals. There's still plenty of illegals that are on our voter rolls that need to come off of there. School choice is also a top issue. The money should follow the child. We will actually do something about that. If you're a parent in here and you homeschool, or you want a Judeo-Christian education, that money that the state gives you should go and support these other schools. Whether you're homeschool, which I did, I was a former homeschool mom, private education, that's where the money should go. The money should follow the child. And children should not be stuck. Their zip code should never determine their level of education. A lot of these families are trapped, absolutely trapped in failing schools. And we need to fix that. As a former homeschool mom and a former legislator, Virginia senator of 8 years, I know how to get things done, and I will do it. And I'm not afraid to use executive orders to take us back to the Constitution. Speaking of which, and this will be the last thing because I think I'm getting close to my 10 minutes, the Second Amendment. Do you know how many bills have been passed illegally by the Democrats that violate the Constitution, the U.S. and the Virginia Constitution? I would issue an executive order to take us back to the Constitution. Get rid of the red flag laws, gun-free zones, universal background checks. These are not constitutional, yet the Democrats passed these laws. They passed them. Under Ralph Northam, they were signed into law. Complete infringement on our constitutional rights. How am I doing on time, Mr. Chairman?
About a minute.
1 minute. All right. Any questions, real quick?
Yeah, questions. Hey, Senator Chase, I'm Jay Burns. I'd like to ask you to follow on your school choice discussion. I'm retired. I don't have any kids in school. I pay a lot of money to the county and to the state for education. In your school choice initiatives, how can I send my tax dollars to another child so that I'm just not funding the government schools?
Well, there's a big picture, and we don't have time in a minute to specifically address that, but I will just tell you this. I homeschooled from my kids for 8 kids. I'm a mom of 4. All my kids are grown. They're all thriving adults doing very well. All children are different, and right now we have a broken school system. We need to get the indoctrination out of our school. We need to withdraw the state funding of these public schools that continue to promulgate this indoctrination. And you know what I'm talking about, and we don't have time to go on all that. We know which bathroom should be used. Boys should not be allowed to use girls' bathroom, but it goes way further than that. They have gotten away from reading, writing, and arithmetic, and it's all about indoctrinating our kids. And the gender dysphoria and the confusion, I introduced the SAFE Act, saving adolescents from experimentation, saying that if you're a minor, you should never be able to direct medical care without the direction of your parents. You're not allowed to cut your body parts off. It's absolutely ridiculous, and kids are committing suicide each and every day. So please look at my website. chaseforgovernor.com. Craig over here, my fiance here, has my clipboard here. We're gonna systematically pass my clipboard. If you have not signed my petition, please raise your hand, and then we'll have you to sign that. But thank you, everyone, for allowing me to be here tonight. Remember, I'm the only candidate who can beat Abigail Spanberger. Trust me on that. Help us to get our signatures. Let's make Virginia great again. Thank you.